You might be wondering, how many carbs should a diabetic have per day? Keep watching, I've got lots of good information for you. In this video, we'll go over what diabetes is and what are the types of diabetes. And then we'll dive into how many carbs should a diabetic have per day. And last, we'll cover the absolute best eating plan for any diabetic. So if you're watching this, chances are you already know what diabetes is, and either you have it or a loved one has it. But in case you don't know, let's go over the quick basics, and that way you kind of know what we're dealing with here. So what is diabetes? When your body's ability to respond to elevated blood sugar is impaired, that's diabetes. Let me break it down for you. When you eat anything, it doesn't matter if it's steak and avocado, it doesn't have to have sugar in it, anything, your blood sugar rises. So then your pancreas secretes insulin to bring your blood sugar down so you don't die. Insulin helps take the sugar out of the bloodstream and put it in the cells where it can be used for energy. Insulin causes the cell to open up and receive the nutrients. When insulin is present, all fat-burning hormones are turned off, like glucagon and epinephrine and norepinephrine. You need to know that, but don't demonize insulin. You need insulin. You need insulin. You just don't need very much, and you don't need it for very long. Remember, the magic happens outside of eating, in between the meals. That's why Code Red Rebels only eat 2 meals a day, because you do need a little bit of insulin to do its job. And then when insulin is out, other fat burning hormones can now start burning fat. And who doesn't want to burn a little bit of fat? Pretty much all of us want to burn some fat. But by you eating constantly all day long, like the standard American diet and the way we all learned in grade school, the food pyramid, you're triggering insulin all day long. And you can't lose weight in the presence of insulin. So you just want a little bit of insulin. It's a vital hormone that you can't live without. And you want it to do its job, get out of the bloodstream so your fat burning can take place. There are 3 types of diabetics. We have pre-diabetes, we have type 2 diabetes, and type 1 diabetes. Let's talk about pre-diabetes. I am sad to say this, but it's the truth. 2/3 of this country is pre-diabetic. And how is that determined? Well, that means that you have an A1C between 5.7 and 6.4. What is an A1C? An hemoglobin A1C is a test that shows the doctor how much sugar is coating your red blood cell over the last 3 months. We like to say you can't hide from an A1C. See, your glucose is gonna fluctuate minute to minute, but your A1C is gonna tell the whole picture. If you were going through Arby's drive-thru twice a day, or if you were ordering a cake pop every time you went into Starbucks to get your black coffee, the A1C is a very telling test. And your A1C being under 5.7 is where you want it, and that's one of the 5 markers of metabolic health. See, when you're pre-diabetic, like so many people are in this country, over 100 million people in the United States, this is just a warning sign. And your doctor is just sitting back and waiting until you become type 2, and he or she has to give you medication. So you need to understand, this is 100% lifestyle and diet related, 100% your choice. 100% caused by you. And I don't mean to shame you. I don't mean to put kind of guilt and shame and condemnation on you. I'm not saying that. But you need to understand, you don't inherit diabetes. That's not how this works. You don't be like, my grandma had the sugars and now I got the sugars. That's not, no. Your family history might show that everybody's had diabetes. Maybe you have a propensity for diabetes, maybe. But that's not how it comes on. When you're pre-diabetic, you have got to get your poop in a group. Things can turn around and get better for you really quick, but it's gonna take some changes on your part. The second type of diabetes is type 2. And this means that your pancreas is having a real hard time keeping up with the demands that you are putting on it. And once again, yes, it's 100% your choice, your diet, and your lifestyle. Yes, you are causing this, and you, in turn, can be responsible for correcting it. This means that whatever crap, and I mean crap, you're eating, you're putting such a demand on your pancreas. Your pancreas cannot keep up with the high levels of blood sugar. The pancreas simply cannot put out enough insulin to bring the blood sugar down. And your insulin receptors are wearing earmuffs. They're not even hearing it. They don't even know you're yelling at them. So the blood sugar's through the roof. Your pancreas is pumping out more and more and more insulin. The insulin receptors aren't receiving it. It's not responding to it. You can't get your blood sugar down. And so your doctor's got to put you on exogenous medication, exogenous insulin, metformin, glucophage, other kinds of medication that's going to help bring your blood sugar down and help you manage your diabetes. The problem is the traditionally medically trained doctor isn't talking about your diet. They might be, and he or she might have mentioned it, but they're not bringing you down on your diet where you need to be. They're allowing you to go out for never-ending pasta bowl at Olive Garden. I used to work at Olive Garden. I saw that firsthand. I know the kind of damage it does on a person. They're saying, oh, go ahead and go out to Olive Garden. Just give yourself more insulin. Guys, you are really walking on some thin ice. If you have type 2 diabetes, this is a serious, serious problem. And now you might see unchecked diabetes is a real serious problem. Now we're talking about peripheral neuropathy, retinal neuropathy, impotence. We're talking about all kinds of things that can happen. I mean, you've seen people lose legs. You've seen it gangrene. You've seen all kinds of problems. You've heard about these things happening and nobody's talking about it. Nobody is addressing it at the root cause. They're just throwing a pill for every ill. They're just treating the symptoms. And that's where I've got a problem. I've got a problem with this. And I went to a conference one time and I spoke to this endocrinologist, really nice guy. And he had a clinic, Diabetics, and he said, my patients just won't eat what I tell them to eat. I said, what? I mean, he was letting them have like 100 grams, 200 grams of carbs a day, which is better than a standard American diet that lets you have 350 grams of processed carbs a day, but it's still not where you need to be. And he just said, my patients they just won't listen. Baloney! Diabetics come to me, they flat out listen to me. I don't put up with that baloney because this is not a road you want to go down. You do not want to mess with diabetes. See, even though type 2 diabetes can be controlled through diet, most people do not control their diet and they end up having to go on medication. So by you continuing to eat your chemically processed crap frankenfood, you are continuing to make things worse for yourself and you're beating up your pancreas and things are just gonna get worse. And the last type of diabetic is type 1. These diabetics were born this way. This means their pancreas does not produce any insulin at all, and they have to be on exogenous insulin for their entire life. Even though we don't have a lot of type 1s that come through the Code Red lifestyle, they can still benefit from the Code Red lifestyle. So if you have any type 1s in your life, pass this video along to them and they might learn something new. Before I go to my next point, I would love to hear from you. Comment below and tell me, what is your experience with diabetes? Unfortunately, I know that most of you either are diabetic or you know someone who is diabetic or you used to be diabetic. Comment below and tell me. I want to hear from you. So how many carbs should a diabetic have in a day? In my opinion, you should have no more than 10% of your intake be from carbs. And I'm talking about total carbs. So the standard American diet, like I mentioned earlier, lets you have 350 grams of carbs a day. That's roughly 60% of your diet is coming from processed chemical carbs. And it's horrible. It's terrible for you. It's going to spike that blood sugar through the roof. It's going to require so much insulin to bring your blood sugar down. And if you follow the government guidelines, you're doing this every 2 hours. So you're eating 3 meals and 2 snacks 5 times a day over the course of 10, 12 hours. You're spiking your blood sugar faster than a Snickers bar. Bam, 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 bam. I mean, you're really getting into a disaster. So by bringing your carbs from 60% of your diet down to 10% of your diet is going to be a massive improvement. And you're thinking 10%, how do I figure that? Well, let me just give you some quick 3rd grade math here. If your calorie intake is 1,500 calories a day, then 10% of that is not 150 because you divide that by 4. 10% of that is 37.5 grams of carbs per day. Don't worry if you don't get it, that's okay. But you don't want to go over that amount. And you're thinking, well, there are carbs in broccoli. Yes, there are carbs in broccoli, spinach, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, avocado, but nobody's getting sick and fat off of Brussels sprouts. I can promise you. Those aren't the carbs that I'm worried about, because those carbs have a lot of fiber and they slow down digestion. That's a different video for a different day. But I'm not worried about the carbs in the vegetables. I'm worried about you. Stop shoving ho-hos and SpaghettiOs in your mouth. I'm worried about you. Stop eating the Costco lasagna. I'm worried about you. Stop going to Skippers. Are there any Skippers even left anymore? I don't know. Skippers, I just pulled that out. That's what I want you to quit eating, the chemically processed crap food. You know what I'm talking about. Pretty much anything out of a box or a can with a label is what you need to stay away from. See, certain carbs are gonna react differently in your body. You're gonna trigger a little bit of insulin with, let's say, Brussels sprouts. You're gonna trigger a little bit because you trigger a little bit with everything you eat, but it's not gonna be very much. Remember, with insulin, you only want a small amount for a short amount of time. But if you have the same amount of calories in Twinkies, it's gonna require boatloads of insulin. It's gonna spike your blood sugar so high, and it's gonna take a long time to bring that back down. So carbs are not all the same. So don't demonize carbs in general, just pick the right carbs. So what's the best eating plan for diabetics? You probably guessed it, it's Code Red. See, we eat like diabetics. Even though I have a perfectly functioning pancreas, we still don't need more insulin in our bloodstream than just a small amount for a short amount of time. So by eating meat, vegetables, nuts, eggs, seeds, seafoods, and fat, this is not going to beat up your pancreas. This is not going to put this massive demand on your pancreas like you've been putting for the past 4 decades. And nobody's talking about this. They're not getting to the root cause. They're just throwing more medication at people. And I'm so tired of seeing that. I want to see you be able to reduce or eliminate your diabetic medication. So if you start on Code Red and you follow the food list that you get during a 10-pound takedown, make sure you stay in touch with your doctor, because you're going to notice that the demand for insulin will be much, much, much less. So you might have to have those insulin medication dosages reduced. So as you get on Code Red, as you heal your body, as you stop putting such a demand on your pancreas, you're gonna notice that you don't need as much insulin. So stay in touch with your doctor, make sure that he or she knows that, and they can titrate you down as needed. If you like all of this and you want to work with me, there are 2 ways to work with me. You can join the 10-pound takedown challenge. I have them every month. So if you missed last month's challenge, you can go on next month's challenge and join us. You can lose at least 10 pounds in 30 days by just simply following the rules and eating off the food list. I'll link it up below. But if you are really ready for a hardcore change and you want to skip to the front of the line, definitely get my custom program. You got to be ready for that though. I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. You can't argue with me. You can't come on my program and argue with me. Do you understand? But I would love to have you, and we could get 10% of your body weight off every month without shakes, pills, diet foods, or exercise. Either way, I hope I see you soon, and I'll see you on the next video.